Hello, welcome to Civics Introduction to American Government. Today's topic will be on natural law and natural rights. We usually hear this talk of natural rights coming from the Declaration of Independence, and in it is a statement that a lot of people are familiar with when it says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Question we're going to be discussing is, what did the founding fathers mean by unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Let's first begin with the concept of natural law and its philosophical foundation. We can look at the ancient Greeks, the Stoics, Aristotle, Plato, and the medieval philosophers like St. Thomas Aquinas, and even people like Dr. King in his letter from a Birmingham jail. Philosophical foundations of natural law is that there are universal moral and ethical principles that are inherent in the nature of the universe and human beings. So it's making a claim that there are objective moral values and duties, that morality is not a mere invention of human beings that is relative to culture and time, but that there are universal, innate moral principles. So morality is not subjective based on personal opinions or feelings, and morality is objective in the sense that there is an independent, innate, universal moral and ethical principles that belong to the human race. We can look at an example all across cultures around the world in time, sharing virtues that are similar. Natural law is also making a claim that there is such thing as a human nature. It's based in reason, that what makes humans what they are is that humans are rational. Reason is what makes a human being human, is what humans can do to participate in the divine providence, and it guides human beings in their conscience, their inner core of their being. Now, Aquinas defined the natural law as a participation of rational creatures in the eternal law, divine providence, God's all knowing, all powerful, all loving, God's in control, and that no being depends or exists without God, and that human beings share in the image of God through their rationality, the intellect, and the will. Now let's look at a first principles of natural law. How are we to know that there even exists such a natural law? Well, we could see the first principle of good is to be done and evil is to be avoided as realized across humanity, that human beings do seek the good, do seek pleasure rather than to suffer or evil. Most people do not wake up in the morning and say, gee, I just want to go and suffer today. And so there is a claim in natural law that there is a human nature, and that human nature is what is common to all humans, what we can observe throughout cultures and time, and that how one is to live their life, how should one live one's life and pursue the good and flourish as a person, And that is brought about through the virtues of good, the virtues of compassion and justice. And that reason is what guides our virtuous behavior to discern, to make decisions, to govern our emotions. Now, let's look at this concept of natural rights in the United States. We have Thomas Jefferson, famous for his understanding of rights, reading the classics, and political philosophers such as John Locke, understanding that rights exist as a matter of all of our humanity, that rights come before government, that there is such thing as a natural right that is not mere invention, but rather these are part of our humanity. And then we understand that these rights are unalienable because they cannot be taken away or restricted by government or authority, that we still will have these rights, have no government in the state of nature. Let's say there's no one to adjudicate, to decide if one's rights has been violated, to have, well, there still would be this human dignity that we recognize that are worth protecting. Immanuel Kant said it the best in terms of human dignity being the sole focus of morality and the good. We talk about rights. The human beings cannot be used as a mere means to an end. Rather, they are ends in themselves. We have freedom, we have rationality, and that we have to be respected as an end. So slavery, torture, etc. is, we could say, objectively wrong, even if Thomas Jefferson and people of his time thought that slavery was okay. You could say, well, how is it that we should even believe these individuals or take any of their ideas if they all were slaveholders and did things? And I would say that even though they were imperfect human beings, this idea, this theory, this practice, this understanding of human nature and rights and duties can be realized as a perennial truth, as a truth that is not subjected to one culture at one time, and that it must be practiced and perfect in every way. Remember Dr. King, many, many years later, still looking at the ancients and the medievals. To put it in the terms of St. Thomas Aquinas, an unjust law is a human law that is not rooted in eternal natural law, so that there is a higher law than what humans create, and that is the natural law. Natural law is an individual liberty. We see this understanding of the right to life, liberty, and property, the limits of government, to be instituted to protect the fundamental freedoms of individuals, protecting the individuals. This concept of natural rights is that there is an inherent value and autonomy of the individual. So even if the majority are the ones in power, we still have to protect everybody's rights because everybody's a human and everybody's worthy of respect. But also that we don't live as individuals, we live as a community. We call the common good. That natural law and natural rights frameworks, they recognize the importance of the common good and social cooperation, that we exist as a society, and that there is a responsibility, there is a moral duty to contribute to the welfare and respect of others. With rights comes duties. X has a right to free speech. The government has a duty to protect that speech. What about the rights of individuals to practice their own religion as they choose? And that is a duty for us to also respect other people's decisions to have that belief or not have that belief. What about the relationship between natural rights and natural law? See the moral foundation that it provides a moral framework and principles that underpin the concept of natural rights. That the natural rights are the freedoms that we are given to pursue the good. That is, they are there to give us that ability, that window, that door to pursue the good through the natural law, and that there must be protections in place in order for us to pursue the good, our happiness, our life, and our liberties. I want to also mention the Ninth Amendment. The Ninth Amendment is an amendment that is fundamental, it's foundational in terms of our understandings of natural law, natural rights. The unenumerated rights. The Ninth Amendment acknowledges inherent rights on those explicitly listed, so that when they established the first 10 Bill of Rights, they didn't just list all the rights that were there, and that if it wasn't listed, therefore we won't even acknowledge their existence. It's rather that there are rights listed in the Bill of Rights, but it's not the totality. And so the Ninth Amendment was there to establish that the government must protect these rights beyond what is explicitly listed, and that it protects the individuals of their natural rights. What about the case now for objective moral values and duties? Remember, there's a natural law. It is opposed to artificial law or positive law, a law that is a human invention, but a natural law is existing in us. And it posits that they have moral principles, that there are independent of culture or individuals. That's, we could say slavery and racism is evil, even though it might have been accepted. It doesn't mean that it was moral or that the majority of people supported it during these times. It doesn't mean that therefore it was right then and it's wrong now, but we could say it's wrong all the time, that they are universal regardless of time and place, that there's a rational basis for the natural law that's grounded in reason, that human beings are capable of reason and freedom, and that there are moral duties that establish moral obligations and responsibilities that individuals in society must uphold. Finally, we could see the natural law and natural rights framework within the universal Declaration of Human Rights, this understanding that rights are not limited to a place, time, and culture, but that all individuals of all nations, of all times, should enjoy these rights of life, the rights to practice your faith as you see it, the right to not practice faith, the right of the press, the right of free speech, the right to self defense and privacy, etc. And we see that in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It was adopted by the UN in 1948, and that human rights represent the fundamental liberties and entitlements that are to be protected for all individuals, because all individuals have an inherent dignity and worth.